can I ask you
When,
something though? Like because we're talking about, so like, Epicureanism, it's beautiful concepts. Like everything that you're describing is great. And I feel like any class, let's call it like a social class, social economic class, you can
Mhm.
achieve best results under this like kind of like a philosophy, right? I'm thinking the favelas in Brazil, like they have less than nothing, and most likely if they live by this philosophy, like they concentrate on the relationships, on the values, on being kind of like being happy with what they have, and like can really like enjoying life with a balanced lens. Then like and you get like the richest person, and if it was living under that same philosophy, again, relationship values, and like a balanced life. I'm gonna play devil's advocate here and think about the people, um, such as myself, where I hated the environment that was born into. Like I didn't realize until I was later in life, but then I had this feeling where there was like sadness, and there was anger, there was violence, there was all of this, and I just put my foot down and I was like, I am breaking this cycle. Like, I will be the one person in my family in which I'm gonna get out of this and give my new family a different life. And at some point, you gotta I feel like you have to factor in that drive to be like, I am going from A to B, and I don't care what's gonna take. Like it's almost like, in that kind of sense, is like it takes what it takes. I need to go from A to B, right? So I feel like
I'm not
the
telling you to not be purposeful though.
okay.
That's a different thing. I'm not telling you by chasing your dreams. Chase them with purpose, but understand for
Mm,
what fulfills you. Don't
mm,
chase something that doesn't fulfill you. Don't do a job that doesn't fulfill you, you know?
yeah, yeah,
Don't be in an environment that doesn't fulfill you. That's your choice.
yeah, yeah.
It
A lot
doesn't
of people
mean
that
money,
a lot
wealth,
of
yeah?
people don't know.
Everybody focuses on that. That's why I wanted to raise that. People focus on just wealth as happiness, yeah?
Yeah.
But if you live a purposeful life, that means you can go and live in the nicest house because it gives you purpose having that, yeah?
Mm,
Eat the
mm,
better, nicest food because it gives you purpose, you know?
yeah,
But
yeah.
you've achieved something. But I'm not saying I hate when people put monetary. Desire and purpose is completely different to that because some
Mm,
people might not desire like the fame, the fortune, yeah? But make sure that whatever you do, do it at the best as your capability. And if it's having a slow job like a fisherman, whatnot, do then live with purpose on what you value. So if it's just doing that, then have more purposeful relationships with your wife, your kids, because that will bring you internal happiness, you know,
yeah, yeah,
and that upbringing. Yeah.
yeah,
But don't ever live like I'm just gonna go to work. I'm in a routine. I wake up, I do this and I do that. And then I'll get on the train and I'll go to work. And then I come back from work and I'm doing the same thing. And then I'll turn on the TV, watch it for a couple of hours, fall asleep, and then wake up the next day, go on the
and do
shower,
the
get
same.
changed, get
Yeah,
breakfast, and you're just drifting. That's just drifting in life. You've got no purpose. You've got nothing. That's not chasing wealth. You're just living an unfulfilled, purposeless life. Yeah,
yeah,
because you're choosing to do that. I really like the fact that you saw people living in a purpose, like a purposeless way, yeah, with no direction, and you wanted to escape it. So what did you do? You gave yourself purpose. You gave yourself direction. You knew where you wanted to be, so you saw your future self, yeah. But you're not only concentrating on the amount of wealth you can accumulate.
No, not at
You
all.
want to have you want to have a happy relationship. You want to be around people that give you joy, you know? And I think this is what I'm trying to say, the difference between what society now thinks is wealth and fame is all done on social media. You see all of these influencers that, oh, I have this, I have that. But do you see them behind the scenes? Are they truly happy? Are they backtracking who they really are? Or are we
Yeah,
seeing the real people? Because you have a falsity that's embedded because it's like Big Brother. You can see yourself 24/7. You share yourself 24/7, yeah? And you're
yeah.
out there continuously.
Well, the thing that nobody knows, and this is the very first time that I say it on camera, is the that drive, that purpose to give like a beautiful life and beautiful moments to my family. Like I'm very family oriented. And I would have never like define myself in such way like years ago, but I know that I am now. And for me, going to LA and like having moment away, like time away from my family to succeed on a professional level, then it has to equal me being able to give my family memories, right? So to put in perspective, like I have like a very young family, like right after a time that I was away for a very long time being overseas. Then when I was back, I taught my daughter to swim. Like it, and it was such a beautiful like memory that all of a sudden the success in business would not be associated with me being away for that long and them suffering, but more um, that allowed me to then like take time like just with them and create a beautiful memory. So definitely I think that it's very important to know your values and follow the
But that's what
values
you're
in a
doing
way
right. You
that
did That's exactly what you're doing. You're doing the right thing. You're living with purpose.
mm,
You're not the father that went back and just gave her a a present
that's
and
right.
that's it. No,
Yeah,
what you're doing is you're creating those moments, you know?
yeah,
And having a moment is much better than just a physical material. I was talking about material gifts, yeah?
that's right.
That's what I think people chase. People chase the material. Oh, I'm gonna go and buy you a top. Oh, I'll go and buy you a handbag. Oh, I'll go and buy you this, yeah? But that's nothing. It's material. What you're saying is exactly what I'm trying to say. As an Epicurean, you live in the moment. You create the moments. You enjoy the
Mm,
moment.
yeah,
That's why people need to revert away from it. Because if you have a daughter and you're just giving her a gift when you come back and say bye, and there's no father-daughter relationship, what's she going to remember you for? Nothing. There's no moments. But she's going to remember the first time she learned how to swim. So when she's swimming again and someone says, oh, how did you swim? It goes back to that, my dad taught me, you know? I remember
yeah,
the time was this age and the sky was this color. And this is
yeah.
where you're creating significant events emotionally inside her, and she starts knowing this. The same. That's what I mean. It's you're taking exactly that. That's Epicurism as a whole. Live life in
There
the
you go.
moment,
I
in
didn't
the
know I was
fullest.
living. I
Yeah,
didn't know I was living an Epicureanism
yeah,
philosophy.
yeah.
That's
You're
incredible.
not buying material things. You're not buying the material aspects of life.
No,
You're
I really know.
creating with your wealth, you're creating moments to remember.
I remember my we bought like a new car like when our second daughter was born, and we didn't tell anyone. Like it's a nice car, right? But we didn't tell anyone. And then our friends like they came to the house and like, oh, you bought a new car, you didn't. Like he didn't say. I was like, well, like I didn't think there was anything to say. Like I just needed the car because I needed a more spacious car for my daughters. It is so interesting. Yeah, the values, right? Like it's like whatever I do, like from as a professional level, it is a lever for me to then do the things that I care about, and it's not just for the sake of pursuing, and it's more for I want to do good. I want to so like everybody's like, oh, what do you do, like, and I rarely say I sell suits because that's not what I do. Like I rarely say, like, oh yeah, I do custom suits. Like the my one of my first answers will be, that I really try to bring out, what's in you that you're not able to bring out for the world to see, right? Like and it's almost like that, and that gives me that sense of accomplishment whenever like I see that happening, because I do see it instantly the moment that like somebody like tries on the suits and they're with me, and I see the way that they start looking at themselves, right? They start looking at themselves in a different way. And going back to this philosophy, I consider the new outfit like the new car that I don't tell people that I have. So I consider that new outfit a tool for them to succeed at life. It's not about the materialism of, oh, get this suit because like, you need the beautiful fabrics and the beautiful fibers and everything. It's a tool for them to access other parts of the personas, the personality, the mindset, anything that's going to drive them to like brings them to the next level of their life. So like that's how I would describe it more than, like I make suits. And it's a beautiful, like it is a very beautiful feeling. What I wanted to ask you, because for me, like I had this thing going on ever since I was like 16, right? Like 15. I had my first I was working as like in calls or what was that they do the call cuts. I don't know how they call it. In Italian, it's
Yeah.
called salumiere. So I was
Hmm.
I was working. That was my first job as a 14-year-old boy, right? And one of the first things that I went and bought for myself, it was literally a suit when I was 15. I went to the shops, the equivalent of Kmart in Italy, and I bought myself. I still remember it was like a Chinese collar, longer jacket, black suit. It was a thing in the 90s, and Ricky Martin was wearing it. So I was like, I want to look like that. But it's funny to like if you hear it, it's like 15-year-old with the little money they had, like went and bought himself a suit. And it would have been like again equivalent to Kmart, so like think a $200 suit, like not nothing expensive. Um, but so the feeling of me being around it, it was always from the very early age. I want to know about you. So like how was 10 how did 10 go into this life that you have on right now? Like what brought you to be now like the person that helps and really like drives all of the people that you work with to be the best version of themselves?
So for me, I struggled when I had this really, really bad upbringing, like really, really bad upbringing. I lost my mum when I was 3 years old, and my father came to the UK as a Greek immigrant and basically had to learn how to hustle and build a life. But I was from home to home. Like I'd stay with my auntie, I'd stay with this person. There was no structure. My dad then married his second wife, basically after my mum passed away. I wouldn't call her anything. She was just a step parent. And that upbringing was really difficult because there was nothing I did right as a child, that would facilitate any kind of affection or anything. I got my first job when I was 14 to get out the house and away from it because I had a life of just chores. It was always chores. I would be from a young age running down to what we called a sweet shop back in the day, and I'd have a note in my hand and I'd pick up the Sun newspaper and a packet of Peter Stuyvesant cigarettes for my step parent. And that was it. It was a routine. And then as I got older, it was like the same thing. I'd have routines like you clean up the house, you're doing this, and I never was given anything. My younger brother was given a lot of things, a lot of aspects. So he was always the one with the bigger room, always had the computers in his room, like whatever it was. So then I was like, I could stay here in this kind of situation, or I could start earning money and changing my mindset of the way that I think about things. So, what I did is do that. So, at the age of 14, I remember getting a summer job in a fabric factory actually. And my job was to basically put Stayflex, pull the material, Stayflex, pull the material, Stayflex, pull the material. And that's all I was doing all the summer. It's just Stayflex. So that, and when they cut the material, it stayed in position for the smaller items. I then got a second job in a sweet factory making popcorn, and that's all I was doing. It was just working to make a bit of money. And I remember my first garment. I actually bought an overcoat for my. I had a suit that I had, but I bought a cashmere overcoat that goes over your suit to stay like warm, you know? And I
Yeah.
remember I used to walk around that 16 years old. I was walking around. Like everyone was like, "Oh, where did you get that jacket from?" And you know, like you felt because I used to walk up and down this. I came from a poor area, poor background. There was no chance. People would say there's no chance. You'd. My school had barbed wire and plainclothes police officers to keep us in the school. So you
Wow.
can imagine, like that upbringing was completely different. But I never had the mindset that I am a victim always. Like, oh, I could be the victim. I'm being treated this way. I can only be this way. And I always had the hustle mentality embedded into me because my father had like a hustler gene. He used to own businesses. He then, from a business, he owned ice cream vans. From ice cream vans, he built a popcorn brand. And I saw him growing all the time. But the other aspect is I never wanted to settle for what I had. I was always, how can I make myself better? What's the next stage? Where do I go? What's the next job? What do I do? I was lucky to have some good teachers, like in the schools that I went to, and I used to just listen to what their ethos was and what they did. And I then fell into other aspects. I think I started changing my life and just wanting more from my life. I think was when I was around 2014, maybe.
Hmm.
2014, I finished university, I finished film school, I took myself through film school, I took myself through college. So I paid myself through college, I paid myself through university. So it took me a bit longer to save up because I didn't actually have any parents that provided me. So yeah, I was working. I remember at my university, I was 4 days uni, 3 days working, 4 days uni, 3 days working. Because I had no background, I had nothing. I was living by myself from the age of 19. I left my house and I just learned to be independent of myself and take myself out of the situations. I then got into finance, learned my way up from being a personal banker all the way up to head office. But that was me doing stuff at the end of days. So when I wanted to pick up a subject, I'd do it at the end of the workday. I'd pick up a book, something different. So I wanted to move into business banking, from personal banking to business bank. How do you do that? Run your own business. A book's not
Mm.
only going to tell you. So start running your own business. So I run my own business. I opened up. a small stall where we used to do smoothies. And from there, I learned the smoothie business and then built up a big smoothie brand. And from there, my smoothie brand then took me to meet a few other people. And I partnered up with a great Italian guy called Andrea. He came over to the UK. I met him whilst he was doing his banking stuff, and he pulled me into his to become his COO because I thought his project was amazing. He was doing stuff around clean water projects and having a search engine that provided clean water for developing countries. And I was like, wow, I can give back by helping this. So we rebranded, built it out in a different way. And that was another like learning from business, like being in business. Then I went into business banking in the corporate world, did that for about 18 months. But I always structured myself to say, with the manager or who I was working with, director, whatever, I'm going to give you a year in this role. Yeah, I said to them, what will it take me to get to the next level? What do I need to give you in this year for me to get the next opportunity? I don't
Mm,
want it if maybe it's 2 years, 1 year, 3 years, whatnot. What do I need to give you to get me to this position in a year? Because I always
mm,
plan it out yearly. I want to be here in a year. I want to be here in a year. So then I moved into business banking. And I said to the same thing to the manager. I was like, I don't want to be here. I really like technology. I understand technology. I think the world is moving with technology. Oh, what do you do? Oh, at the end of the days, I go off to a mastermind, a meetup. I network with people that are in technology and understand this, and that. She was like, "Really? You do that?" I was like, "Yeah." And I built a chatbot facility. I was like, "What?" And I had the chatbot in 2018, I had a chatbot that used to do all my ordering for my smoothies. So you can
yeah,
imagine, it wasn't me you were talking to. You were speaking to a Facebook chatbot built on Chat Fuel because I was at work. I couldn't take orders. My bike people that delivered orders didn't know how to collect the orders from around the office. So what I did is I created a chat facility bot that I used to ping the office managers on Facebook and say, hey, how many red, how many yellow, how many chocolate, how many green smoothies do you need? And he used to ping them out to just say, just add a color here. Then those colors would go directly to the kitchen and I didn't need to be there. So that business run it by itself. So, and then when I said to the manager, I was like, I'm really into tech and this is what I built. Oh, yeah, okay. So what do I need to do? So then I gave them that. She left, she introduced me, but they didn't have a role. Then I moved into technologies in finance and used to build disruptive stuff. And it was always learning. I never coded. I didn't understand what code was, but I understand how to build a product, learn about product. And then I took on courses like value proposition guides. Because if you can understand value proposition, you can sell anything in the world because you create value and then you proposition it in a way that you're adding value to a person, then
yeah.
that actually helps them grow. And I moved from that then into telecommunications and then insurance. But the catalyst that made me change and go full time by myself was 2023. I was working for an insurance firm uh, doing digital transformation. So creating the digitalized version of insurance products on a platform. And I met an American guy called Wes, and during that period, we used to do mentoring. I always used to mentor people for about 15 years. I used to do mentorship programs, directly mentoring people. I started it heavily whilst I was in my first role in Barclays, mentoring, because you learn from mentees, mentors, and having them around you, but always having good coaches and mentees. And then I used to do the same thing. So I'd take on minimum of 3 to 5 mentees per year. And I'd mentor them of my ways of thinking, of my ways of studying. And I've seen some people grow exponentially that I've mentored. And he came to me second week in, he goes, I'm so sorry you moved from my team out of product and you're in here, but I heard your name, you're doing the mentoring program. How come so many people want to speak to you? I was like, oh, last year I did this, this, and this, and all I do is I follow this straight down, and this is all I do. And he goes to me, oh, do you mind reverse mentoring me? I know I'm like of a CEO, director level of product, but and you're a lead that leads like the teams and stuff. Do you mind just sitting down with me? So I used to sit down with him every Wednesday, and I told him like, this is what I do, this is what I'm looking at technology. I'm looking at the brain in a different way as well because I want to understand the brain. So using technology for good, I started embedding like real tech into the brain and understanding the brain more and more in my studies. So what part of my studies really works on the brain and what part doesn't work. And I incorporated like wearable devices like this that you put in and you wear. And basically we can map your brain when you're doing one of the learnings, and that
Yeah.
gives me haptic feedback because it's got like all sensors here and here. So then I knew like if I'm doing visualization work, is that opening the frontal cortex? Which side is it opening, the right hemisphere, left hemisphere of the brain? I'm not a neuroscientist, but I always had my hand in looking at like different technologies and how you could do that. Then I started mapping it. It was like, this is fascinating. Have you ever thought of taking this out? I was like, no, I'm comfortable here. I come in, I have a comfortable life, I do my job, and then I can spend time with my family. I earn enough. Then around 4 months in, he left the business. He was based in the US, and we didn't know why. Nothing was said, and we cut ties. And from there, I got a phone call around December time, before Christmas, just before Christmas, and it was a US number. I was like, oh. It's Wes, like my friend. He's called me now finally after being away.
Yeah.
And it was a woman. She calls, she goes, oh, you don't know who I am? I've seen your messages and your emails and your Discord messages to my husband, Wes. And I was like, oh, okay. Oh, my name's Luna, Luna Dollar. And I was like, oh, okay. Is everything okay? And she goes, look, I didn't want to put it on social media. I wanted to tell you firsthand. But unfortunately, Wes took his life on Sunday, and that was the Monday when she called me. And
Oh,
I think that was like the turning moment to like start
oh
looking at how do I
no.
then start taking this out and giving it to people, because that was one of his things that he said to me. Why don't you use your mentoring and the program that you do and understanding people and changing behaviors? And that was my catalyst. I was like, you know what? Okay, I went back, the values weren't there. It wasn't the same thing. And then I took a leap of faith in 2024 and March, when redundancies were coming around in the business. I put my hand up and took redundancies and went into this full blown. And from there, it's just trying to help different people live with purpose, because I don't think there's a position for people to actually have a voice. We went through a crazy kind of a few years where anything people said was misconstrued or changed in a way. Masculinity was falsity. Being a strong person doesn't mean that you're toxic or anything like that. It means you're strong. You know, you need
Mm,
defenders. You need people that are strong in this world.
mm,
If everyone's not strong and defenseless, where would this world be if you didn't have that? And you shouldn't look at those traits. So then, yeah, I went full blown from March, started doing coaching, um, built out my own kind of technology side. So I've got like multiple hands in different industries. I have my own agency that builds 3D development and products. So when someone has a vision in their head and they don't know how to materialize it and they're looking for a way of actually visualizing a product, come to me and I make you see your dreams come true with the agency. Um, And then the coaching just been there. I've always had clients, and I take only 10 clients a year because I don't do it for material wealth. I just do it as a way of giving back. Um, to society. Like if I can make people stronger and feel stronger, and get their mindset in the right way, I feel that I'm achieving something. And the event that I met you at, that was the first time I've ever been on stage, was the first time I've ever spoken at an event. But for me, what I learned is everything's personal brand, how people perceive you, what they perceive you as, what your voice is as. And that was my main focus for the end of that last year and the beginning of this year, is just to get my voice out for people to
Mhm.
understand who I am and how I help. Because I think the more people that understand that there is a avenue to getting help, and understanding that can actually help a lot of people moving forward. So yeah, that was me. Like I've never had it easy. I'm never gonna say I wanted that easy life, but it structured me. It gave me a vision of where I didn't want to be and a vision of where I needed to be. I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I just knew where I wanted to go. I had a direction, I had a vision, and as I said, I always cut it down to a year. I'll give you a year, you tell me what I need to do, and I'll figure it out the rest. You know, I'll figure out how to do it for you. And I think that's what makes the good entrepreneurs of our generation, the ones that always want to learn and always want to adapt, because with society and technology, if we're not always learning and adapting, you get left behind. It's me and encompassing like what
I
I
like
do.
it.
And
And I mean, and now that you discovered, like you're in this personal journey, that's personal branding journey, what have you discovered? Like, what does a, what is personal branding made of? Like, what are the different aspects for you to excel at that? And I imagine that you want to be excelling at personal branding so you can spread wide and help and really like change more people's lives. But what is personal branding for you made out of?
so my personal branding is being an authority in the space that I'm working in. But to be an authority in the space that you're being in, you're constantly learning around what
Mm,
does personal branding mean. So for my aspect is what networks am I in? Who's around my environment? Who are my coaches? Yeah. From there, once I understand who's in my environment and who I need to get to actually build my personal brand, I then focus on actually opening those relationships. And I'm not going to get to the first person that I want to get to. I'm going to get to the people below first. Treat them fairly, treat them as they want to be, and then I'll get to that. That's the next stepping stone, and I'll get to you. I know who I want to get to. I won't say their names and who I want to actually speak to. I have that vision. That's on my vision board as well. Who I want to sit with, who I want to interview. And whenever you do it, put it, personal branding for me is being relevant in the current atmosphere that we have, being really relevant. So what your subject matters are, make sure that they're relevant and they adhere to your values. But also personal branding, don't make it about yourself. And I think that's where people make a big mistake. They make it all about themselves.
mm,
Me. Your personal brand should be what value you can add to the world, and what value you can give out, because that will actually build you. Because when people value you, you'll become more relevant. When
mm.
someone just is me, X, Y, and Z, you become irrelevant, because we've heard it, we've heard the salesman, we've heard what people do. I also think from a personal perspective is, who have you helped and how highly do they speak of you as well? Because that builds your personal brand. I think that is, what value do you add in people? And building a personal brand is, what value can you add to this world? It's a very
Yeah.
fast-paced world, but what value can you add? And then revert it. So if there is aspects that I do in my course, yeah, and I can see that will add value to the world, don't speak about I do a 42-week program and it does this, this, and this, and this. No, by doing this, it will add value here, here, and here. You know,
Hmm. Yeah,
it's all around what value you can add. And as I said, having the right mentors, speaking to the right people, being around the right communities. LA was um, I always take calculated risks. With a personal brand, you always have to take calculated risks. I didn't know who I was going to meet in LA. I didn't know what community was going to be there. I just knew that I met some people. Wasn't just the celebrities I met. I think it's the real people that I met, the business people, what people were striving for as well. I came by you. That's how I met Yulia and the rest of like your how can I say the Falcone brand, you know? It wasn't I didn't come to you first. It wasn't me and you speaking. It was
no,
just you be polite with people, you speak to them, you find out their story, you understand who their story. Everyone has a story. If you don't have the time for the person, then they will never have the time for you. And I always have the kind of have that kind of respect, and that's what builds your brand. Because if I'm away, yeah, how will someone speak about me when I'm not in the room? You know, that's a
that's
brand,
right.
a
That's the
big
one.
brand.
That's the one. I think it might to add to everything that you said, like because it's so important. Like, how do the people speak about you when you're not in the room? The people that you surround yourself and that you associate with, so and having the right coaches and right mentors, all of that's super important. In my and adding value, like that was number one. Yeah, like adding value to the person in front of you. From my experience, a lot of the times I see people that have some of the qualities, because obviously these are the people that like, sometimes I work with. They have the qualities, but they don't find a way to make it so they matter in front of the eyes of everyone around them. So just to add to everything that you just said, there's also um, you need to find a way to be relevant and for other people to place value on yourself. So sometimes it's not enough um just to know that you can add value, because that's the story of sometimes, sadly, like all failed entrepreneurs, right? I know I can add value, but they won't listen or they won't believe me or something. So I think sometimes this is part of my values. I just firmly believe, and this is probably because also like my upbringing in Italy, like it's a different culture and all of that. But in Italy, we say l'abito fa il monaco, and that means that the dress shows makes the priest. That's the specific translation. But what it means is that if you look the part, then it's almost like then people would listen to you. And if you don't, sometimes the job is a little bit harder. It's not impossible, it's just a little bit harder. And also the same saying talks about, the environment. It depends who you're speaking to. Like if you're speaking up to a bunch of teenagers, right? Then Gary V approach is great, right? The
In
cap,
Ragazzi, Gary V, like those are the people.
t-shirt, like no problem, right? But then if you're talking to like entrepreneurs that let's say going from six figures to 7 and 8 figures, then JT Fox is a very, very effective way to speak to the room and to gain trust and show off the confidence, because it's like he he appears already a certain way, then everything else like comes along with it. So I guess my point is like to everything that you added, there's also understanding who you're speaking to, and sh- not be to not fail at giving your message to the people that you're speaking to. You also need to appear and present yourself in a way digestible to your audience. Sometimes like this is gets very misplaced, and I don't know about the people that you coach, but for example, a lot of the people that come to me, they want to appeal, appeal to, let's say, a more successful person, but then my answer to them is like, well, sometimes like if you don't behave in the social norms and appear in a way that is digestible to that successful person, that person will never listen to you. So, and it's for me like it's just a value that I have on me from a Italian background, but I found it effective like in the past. What are your thoughts in these terms? Like, do you think that there is a good reason to try to be appealing to your audience in the way that you present yourself, or do you think that that shouldn't matter and is all the substance only that will get you through?
You should understand your audience first to be appealing to them. Who is your audience? I think that's where most people, when they're entrepreneurs, they don't know who their audience is. They don't sit down to understand their business. They don't ask themselves those fundamentals of who is my audience? Who am I trying to go towards? Um, and having good like mentors and mentees, as you said, JT Fox. I speak a lot with Ty Lopez. They've been there, they've done it. They've been there more than a decade, so they've seen the mistakes. They wouldn't be still around here if they weren't successful or they weren't doing it in a correct manner. And I think that's what I mean is they understand where they fit. They understand who their demographic is. They understand who they're meant to be speaking to. And then they formulate all of themselves, whether it's their content and any other aspects, to actually serve those people. And it's not, they're not serving them just with, oh, I've got this course, or you can come here, or you can come there. They're adding value to that demographic's lives. Yeah. So it's understanding the people that you're talking to. Yeah. But then surround yourself with people that are talking to the same people or have the same message as you. Yeah. And have them in your environment because you can learn from these people. If they've been doing it a decade, they must be doing something right. Over a decade doing the same thing, you're doing something right to still be relevant and still be around. But I also add, because you're Mediterranean, you know, I'm Mediterranean too. I think
Yeah.
the fundamental aspect which you always have a desire for is we have to be authentic in what we do.
Oh, oh yeah.
Authenticity is
We
very
didn't
key.
speak about authenticity, but like I feel
Yeah,
like you can really tell from this call that we are both on the same page on that. Like I think
yeah.
without wanting to, like I just don't know another way to be.
No,
Like I'm just authentic.
authenticity and having intentions. Being intentional and having the authenticity will then help you grow. But you really have to understand your business and who you're trying to go for as a demographic. Because a lot of people say I'm a coach and I do this, but who? Who are you trying to coach? Who are you trying to help? I'm helping everyone. No, you're not helping everyone because
No,
not
you're not.
everyone you can't do everyone. This world is big. Who is it? Is it, do you want to do it via demographic? Is it age range? Is it male, female? Is it something else, you know? Is it
A
mental?
moment in their
Like, because
life.
you say, I
Yeah.
want to be a coach, but then you hear I'm a mindset coach, but then I'm a life coach, and then I'm a spiritual coach, and I'm this, and I'm an emotional this, or I'm that. And then when you ask them, and it's like, oh, I'm a life coach, but then I'm also a mindset coach. Oh, I'm a mindset coach, but I'm also a therapist. I'm a mindset coach, but I'm also a gym coach. Like you don't know your market, and that because when you don't know your own self and your own business, you'll never succeed. That's why you'll see people, they'll come and then they'll go. They'll come in and then they'll go because you know what breaks them? So they don't understand their business. And when they don't understand business, they don't understand the financials behind business. One of the key factors behind business to keep it running is cash flow. If you don't understand how to get the cash flow in, you've got no business. It doesn't matter how good a coach you are. It doesn't matter how good a person you are. It doesn't matter how many relationships you are. If you don't understand your own business, your own numbers and how to run it, then there's no point you doing it. I'm, I can't I can't put any like more pinpoint to it where you have to understand your demographic, understand the people that you want to serve, and then you focus it. And then when you focus it, you understand this is how much this will cost. But how much did it cost me to bring that customer in? Yeah. So if I know this customer cost me £50 worth of ads, yeah, then I need to spend X amount to get the next customer in. Yeah. But then how am I adding enough value? Because you can spend, you can buy whatever you want. Am I providing enough value that it doesn't become, as we cook pasta, a sieve, and it lets the water out. And then what I'm filling it up again, so I don't lose the water that's coming in because you don't understand. You've lost concentration here. And this is where I find the environment, everybody wants to be something. Yeah. But no one understands the work that has to be done behind the scenes. Yeah.
Yeah.
No one has the grit to do that behind the scenes. Not every, that's why no one makes it because they see that fantasy, but they don't want to put that work in. Everyone wants that instant gratification. I want to be that person. I want to be that person here. And it's like an instant gratification coach because you've got everything to hand. It's swipe here, swipe left, swipe right. It's instantly. Yeah. And then they see, oh, Tai Lopez, JT. Oh, they were handed it. They had rich families. They had rich backgrounds. Da, 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 da. They were given all that money. No,
No.
these people didn't become who they were by someone handing it to them. They understood who they are. They understood what bit of what it takes to be a business person, and then they started adding relevance to who they wanted to be their demographics. They know that exactly. They know who they want in the room with them. They know who they want to speak to. They know who they want to help, first and foremost. They know who they want to add value to, and this is something that I think people that want to build businesses don't truly understand the graft. You have to have a desire to do it. Don't be an entrepreneur and think it's like your 9 to 5. There is no nine
No.
to five. It
No,
doesn't
no,
work that
no.
way.
It really doesn't. Like literally, like yesterday, like I said, the cyclone number two, like level two in Brisbane, and I spent the afternoon talking about the new system, like the systems of the business, like the software. What are we gonna use? What are we gonna take payments with international? Like literally, that was the conversation of the whole afternoon. Um, because you talked about audience, so like, what is your audience? Like, who are the people that you know that if you get connected with, you're gonna truly change and influence?
So my main audience is have now focused on my demographic is anyone between 24 and 40. The reason why I say that is I've lived those years. I know what the hardness is and what the ups and downs are. And that's male or female. I don't have any specific on that, but I know the age ranges that I'm following. And it's predominantly looking at entrepreneurs at an early stage, a mid stage, and a latter stage of their lives because everyone needs help somewhere along that. And it's about adding value and purpose and desire and embedding habits because even when we're business owners, we get into a routine. We start forgetting to do things. Oh, that thing's running over there, fine. I don't need to check my ads. I don't need to check what my Google expenditure is. I can do things over here. Oh, I don't need to do any social medias. I've done that. It's fine. I don't need to grow anything over there. And then it's the value that they're bringing in. oh, I'm still doing it, but what you taking in, and those kind of aspects of having entrepreneurs sit with me and tell me what they really want to do, and then getting them into a mind frame where they're living with like more purpose. They've got mastery over their self because you can be successful, but you still don't have mastery over yourself. Like you're not giving that permanence to yourself. Then adversity will creep in because no business that's running over a certain period, you're going to find adverse moments. Now you have to then look at how you deal with adverse moments and giving them that controlling factor and how our environments are changing everly with the digital aspect. People talk about AI and the generation of AI. That's going to affect it. But I think the biggest factor that will affect us in technology is quantum computing. When that starts coming out, we're going to have to change everything, everything that's going to change. And it's having that adaptability and then teaching people permanence with their time. As I said, it's those kind of habits, positivity, removing negative thoughts because a negative thoughts becomes a negative habit will then turn into your mood. And if your mood is negative and everything is, you're not going to draw anything. It's like a magnet. Negative is going
Yeah.
to push it away, push it away, push it away. Start needing to have that positive aspect. And then harmony, like people need harmony in their lives, like, to slow down sometimes, to think through um, how they're feeling, what their influence is. Because there's two things you can't buy in this world. And I will tell you that I learned this from my escapades and speaking to even Ty and other people. You can't buy love. Yeah, I don't care what anyone says. You can never buy love. It's never bought. If you think that, you're highly mistaken. You can't buy a healthy body.
Mm.
You have to make that body.
Yeah.
You have to work with it. Money can help it, but where if you catch cancer or any disease, there's no cure.
No.
You can prolong it, whatever, you can take treatments. But these are the two things you can't buy. Health and wealth, like love and I think
And health.
health cannot be bought. You can't pay someone to do it for you. You have to do it yourself. And then those are the aspects. So that's what I really want to work with. I really want to work people that have that. And I really think this is the thing that we miss. There's not a place where people can actually open up when they're having tough times. Because even entrepreneurs have tough times. We go
Oh,
through
I
meltdowns.
think
We don't
I
have a
feel like we
space.
have so much. I think even more so because we always put ourselves in uncomfortable situations.
Yeah, no one's paying us. We're paying ourselves. This is what people don't understand. Especially when you have family that you have to look after and everything. That is another burden on you because, oh, are they going to be okay? Is there going to be food on the table? Is there going to be this? And you have that in your back. It's not only just looking after yourself, it's looking after the other responsibilities you have as well. And I think that's what people really need to actually understand is there is a space. We can talk about these things. We can bring them out and giving back to society as well. I think that's another thing. Like what you give
Mhm.
back, you receive.
Yeah.
And you start
Yeah.
needing to give that. It's like having a community, reaching out to your community. Where does someone need some help? Because the more you give, the best energy comes back in because you feel like you've done something, you've provided something. And I
So
always look at
how would any of these people that are listening to us will get into your life? Like, what would it be a best way for them to approach you?
just DM me on Instagram. Just go to tan Chrissis and DM me
And that will
happiness,
be
DM me
you.
success. Yeah, and
It's you responding. That's
yeah,
so good.
that would be me. If you do, then that would be me because I have my personal one is somewhere else. I have Tan Chris's is where everything is run for my business and everything that people can see. We're currently refreshing my website as well, so tancrissis.com is coming very soon. That's just being refreshed. So those aspects, and yeah, just reach out there. Those are the direct channels. I think everyone uses social media. If you just type in Tan Chris's, there's only
Oh, for
one Tan
sure.
Chris's. No one's gonna find another Tan Chris's. I had to shorten that name because I have a long Greek name as well that no one can pronounce. So the shorter I make it, the easier it is. Uh, and yeah, look, yeah, I can speak to anyone. Like people will see me and speak to me. Um, but when you need to speak to me directly, you can speak to me directly. We can also book in times. It's very easy. Like, look, I'm here now today with you, and
I
what
feel like it's midnight. How old is
it's more, it's
what
1
time is
a.m.
that?
in the morning. 1
Oh,
a.m. in the morning.
Jesus.
But
Oh my
that's a
God.
good thing about having good relationships with people.
Oh
People
my
show up and
Lord.
turn up and be around. It doesn't matter. Like
I can't
we're
believe it, man.
entrepreneurs. We don't have a
I can't believe
timeline,
it.
you
I
know?
can't believe it. What is it called? I am really looking forward to now. Now it needs to be official. I'm coming to London. We have to catch up. Like I don't wanna hear it. We're gonna make time. So, when we talked about time blocking during the day, giving structure to your day, giving direction in life in general, then I've enjoyed talking about the mindset and the blockings, right? Like those handbrakes for people that will revert back to their old self, and what are the tools to overcome those blocks, and really to become who you're meant to be. Love to hear about the life that you the all of the adversities that you overcame, and just to show people that like success is not does not equals to people handing things to you. It's
No magic pill.
a lot of the times that I speak to entrepreneurs that are successful, a lot of the times they created that success on their own, and if they had any leverage, it was very little leverage. Then they created an empire out of it. And like it was really great to hear about again the mindset and the way to deal with that, with your own self-doubt and self, like limitations. And it's great to hear from somebody like you that helped, like it is shaping so many people, and in the honor of giving back. So like I I cannot tell you how nice it's been, like talking to you. Like it's been a great experience for me. Like and to be honest with you, like for me, one of the biggest values that you've added to this call, because obviously this is value directly to my mindset and my business, is literally being putting myself in the shoes of my client and understanding that um the change that before I thought it was something that could happen overnight. It's something that I need to work with them and help them digest it in smaller pills, and possibly like come up with some sort of strategy on how to do it. Like instead of just giving them like the wardrobe, I can come up with like a fun slash a easier way for them to digest it, which is really, really good. You're giving me, see, this is what happens between entrepreneurs, right? Yeah.
That's
So
what's
I
meant to
hope
be.
that, yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is
So I
what it's
really
meant to
hope
have.
that you enjoyed it. You enjoyed it. Thank you, Tan. Like I will, what's it called? Looking forward to see you in London. And man, like I honestly, from the bottom of my heart, like I can't wait to see your next stage, because like you're working on personal branding right now, but then there will be another stage and another, and I feel like we are on the same boat.
No, we're all on a trajectory. We have a desire where we want to be and how we want to get there. We just need to plan the steps. And these are just stepping stones. And sometimes we'll miss a stepping stone. And I always say we have a life path, yeah? But it's never straight, you know? We will veer like a snake. But if you can move that snake to come back onto that life path and start going on it again, and you may veer off, but then learn how to always get back onto where your life path is, because that's where you're going to feel the most fulfillment. And that's the nice thing about being an entrepreneur and understanding that and having that mentality that I know where my direction is, but how I get there will be in different ways. But the accepting of that, you have to accept everything that um, comes at you because it's also what comes out of you. You know, you're creating those moments. Your choices, no one else has, and I think that's a fundamental that I'd like to give to people around. If you're an entrepreneur, remember that something that no one can change is the choices that you have. And I think it's really key that people understand that the choices that they have. And I always give a quote sometimes. It's like your mind can be your greatest weapon, or or it can be your biggest obstacle. So train it to work for you and not against you.
Yeah. Can I ask you a funny question? What made you say yes to get interviewed by your tailor? Like, it's such a cool, it's a very odd interview, right? Like, what made you say yes to Bruno Falcone?
I always say to you, with me, you always give time to everyone when you can give time. It doesn't matter if they're your tailor, your shoemaker, your hairstylist, anything like that. Always give the same value out as you want to receive. Respect people at the same level. It doesn't matter what job they do, yeah? And if you respect people in that way, you'll see that so much more comes back to you as a person. Like my favorite number is the number 8, yeah? So whatever you put out will always come back to you. Whatever you
I
put
love
out
it.
will always come back to you. So it doesn't matter that you were a tailor. I resonated you as an individual. I like you as a person. You could have been someone that I didn't get on with, so we would have never bought. We would have never been my tailor. You know, it doesn't matter the job or the background you have. It's did I like you as a person? So if I like you as a person, I always give the time to people that I like and have time for because that's what you should do. You should give time to the people that have similar values to you, are in the same desirable aspects of life. Their drive, they have good drive, they're moving somewhere. And that's why you say you keep the right people in your environment. If someone that doesn't meet your vibration or doesn't meet where you want to go, you need to, nice to meet you, thank you very much. No, we have a ending
That's the
here and I maybe see you another year's time, but I'm only gonna see you in a year's time. That's it.
I like it. I like it. That's not us. That's okay. We're not partying. We're not partying ways. We're in
Uh,
the same spectrum. I like it. I like it.
Definitely.
Yeah. Man, all the best. Thank you again for being part of Threads of Success. I think it's gonna be a lot of value for a lot of the entrepreneurs that are trying their best to be the best self.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Awesome.